and welcome to the Tech Show. Coming up this week, we look at that carbon downhill bike, finally, from Nukeproof.
Plus a new Da Vinci downhill or enduro bike.
And a downcountry tyre from Hutchinson.
Plus a new bike from Marin, the Rift Zone E.
Ooh, all that coming up and more. Don't go away. Okay, today's topic is steerer damping technology, and I'm wondering if it's coming back because we spotted Dan Booker using what looked like steering damping technology. Neil, is the 90s coming back to bite us?
90s, yeah, I don't know. I don't remember that many people running in the 90s, but Missy Joe, I do remember having one on her bike. Yeah, kind of old school. I think it was a Hopi that looks like really similar, where you see this thing on top of the stem. And I guess it damps the speed out. You see these on motorbikes quite a lot.
Yeah, so a steering damper, for anyone who doesn't know out there, it does exactly that. It dampens the steering. We see this in motocross bikes, motorcycles, where you can have electronically oil damped cartridges or telescopic sort of suspension, a bit like if you think about a rear shock, in that dampens the suspension. You can have these attached to steerer tubes and handlebars in order to dampen or slow down that steering movement. So for motorcycles, you kind of get it because they have speed wobbles. I mean, when was the last time you had a speed wobble?
Not
on your bike?
On a mountain bike, no, on a motorbike. They're more common on like faster, like road bikes or even enduro bikes. Not that common on motocross bikes. And I guess it's just, I mean, they're a lot heavier than mountain bikes, but the higher speeds and more gyroscopic effect. Yeah, I've never felt like on a mountain bike that I've been that unstable. You know, Canyon launched this KRS, which isn't a steering damper. They are sort of careful to say it's a stabilizer, and it brings the bars back to central, and you can adjust sort of how quickly, how much force it does that. I'm actually really interested in that. I heard Fabian Brell talk a lot about that and how you can place the rear wheel from the front using that. It's quite interesting. I think, you know, they're talking about bringing that to all sorts of bikes, e-bikes as well. So
he almost uses the resistance to kick out the back end.
I guess so. I mean, it's one of those things. I guess it's hard to know what he means until you've tried it yourself.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, it's interesting because in the 90s we were using this sort of thing because everything was steep and twitchy. Now we're almost potentially using it because things are slack. They're so slack. We've got that kind of front wheel flip-flop a little bit.
Yeah,
maybe
that's true.
Going into tight stuff all the time, tight, rough stuff, you get that kind of resistance on the handlebars. Certainly that's what the KIS is trying to do, is give you the resistance so you don't X up and just go straight over the bars.
I've always felt like it has to be really tight to get that, but you know what I mean with that flop of the offset as well of your fork. But yeah, who knows if that's trying to overcome that. And our steering damper is something that your average rider uses. I wonder if Dan Booker, I don't know, people with injuries, Tom Wheeler uses it to keep that front wheel in line. And
yeah, well, certainly he's only got one arm, so having that extra resistance helps for sure. I've actually heard there's a few niche environments like snow and sand where this sort of thing comes in, because if you've ever ridden in the snow or the sand where your wheel is just like constantly getting flicked from side to side, then that would help. Also, I think bike packing, I don't know if you had your too much luggage on the front before and it just goes.
That's horrible.
That would help. So there's still got the sort of Vico set is what your Tom Wheeler used. We saw in the video. So that is very similar to what Dan Booker seems to be running in his enduro bike at the moment. Also, Cane Creek do a Visco set version that's a little bit more discreet in that they use this sort of fluorocarbon paste and plates that add resistance in a headset, so that you just
I've
get
had a headset like that in the past.
Yeah, maybe we could just do this ourselves. Should we make our own? I don't know, maybe we should throw it over to the viewers here. Would you use this kind of technology? Did you use this technology back in the 90s, and should we have left it there? Or should we be exploring it and stealing more stuff off the motorcycle world? I don't know, let us know down in the comments below.
I've always wondered, you know, like sometimes with brakes, if you actually realise what you're doing with brakes, sometimes you're just jamming the brakes on an awful lot. I wonder if this is doing the same with steering. It's kind of smoothing out your input. So you feel like you're really smooth, but actually you're doing this all the time. I wonder if the steering damper smooths
Is it going to be like ABS, where we didn't know we needed it, and then we use it and we love it,
Maybe.
and now steering damping is going to be one of those things?
You need to try it.
Yeah.
So there is a new proof descent carbon downhill bike floating around. It's actually been on the race circuit already. We've seen this on World Cup podiums and Crownworks wins already. Sam Hill actually won the Oceania Down Champs just this weekend on this bike. It looks not too dissimilar from the old Descent. It's kind of squashed down. It's carbon fibre. The old Descent was just aluminium. And they've tweaked the way it works as well. The old bike, you could change sort of how progressive or linear the bike was with different positions of the main pivot. But actually now, it's way easier. You've kind of got like the Nukeproof Giga. You've got this like eccentric little washer almost. You undo the bolt and you can change. You've got 3 different positions. So it's not a flip chip, it's just that bolt swinging around, super easy to do. It's actually slightly more sensitive in the initial stroke. So apparently you can go up a spring rate, so you don't have to have it quite so harsh. And then slightly regressive at the end of the stroke to prevent spiking under bottom out. Also, this one frame lets you run either 29 or mixed wheel size, so you can just flip the chip and swap the wheel size out.
That's super adjustable, but downhill bikes are getting so adjustable these days.
I'm trying to blag one as we speak.
I'm sure we could just ask really nicely. So also new in the sort of downhill world is DaVinci have brought out a new chainsaw edition, which is basically an ode to Stevie Smith, aka Chainsaw. And it's an ode to him. They're putting a donation to the Stevie Smith Foundation on a yearly basis as a result of this bike. But basically, check it out on screen. It is a split pivot and high pivot, so all of the pivots. Aluminium frame, it's 170mm real travel, but you can add a 170mm single crown fork for enduro mode, or you can add 190mm dual crown fork for downhill mode. And you've got the option of either full 29 or mixed wheel compatibility. It's coil shock compatible as well, size specific geometry, UDH, threaded BB, enduro bearings. It's looking like a pretty versatile rig, I would say. Now there's 3 frame builds. They're all starting at 4,799 Canadian dollars or 3,899 US dollars. Looking all right. Nice,
like it. Got a new e-bike from Marin, their Rift Zone E. So their popular Rift Zone goes to e-mountain bike. Aluminium frame, 140mm front rear travel with the Shimano Steps EP6 or EP801 motor options. Both of those have 85 Nm of torque, and you can spec the bike with either a 504 watt-hour or 630 watt-hour battery, which you can change or upgrade later if you wish. And prices start from 4,499 US dollars, which is 5,699 Canadian, 4,355 British pounds, and 4,999 euros.
Nice. So Hutchinson have released the Kraken. I couldn't resist saying it, but the Kraken is their new downcountry tyre. It's part of their Racing Lab series, which is basically a bracket where they're hand making them in France. So check this out on screen. The new Kraken basically combines an XC tread, but with slightly bigger volumes and thicker sidewalls for downcountry and marathon. And it's slightly more open in tread to tackle looser terrain, available in 127 TPI for that lightweight marathon use, or the 66 TPI, which is coupled with a hard skin reinforcement for well, more out there downcountry use, I guess. The claimed weight on that is 850 grams for the 2.4 inch wide 29er tyre. You can get it in a 27.5 as well. And the entry level will start at 45.99 euros, or it will be 64.99 for the top spec Racing Lab edition. And that is the news.
Oh. Into the quiz. Right, start off. What does KIS stand for? That Syntace Canyon and Lightville steering stabilizer.
We didn't tell them, but no. They should know. How did Stevie Smith get his nickname Chainsaw?
I don't know that one actually. And the Nukeproof Descent got its name because it deviated from previous ideas. But can you name one or both of the previous downhill models of Nukeproof? I've got one of them in my garage.
Yeah, there you go. Right, comments time from you lovely people. And last week, me and Hank were getting all hopped up on UCI bans and why they were banning skin suits and things like that from downhill and yeah, all that sort of stuff. Did you ever use a skin suit?
I did. I raced world champs in Fort William in a skin suit and then ripped the arse out of it at the first run because I fell off a bike.
snazzy. Have you got pictures of that?
Yeah, I have,
yeah, roll that now if you can. Okay, so Andrew Ince said, road looks rather stagnant compared to MTB because they're not allowed to innovate. Yeah, tech is like, new tech is just no on the road scene.
Yeah, but
that's it.
My argument to that is, have you seen a triathlon bike? They're allowed to do whatever they want. Are you sure that's what you want?
No, probably not. Probably not.
Tim Sadler says, I still yet to hear a sensible answer on why the UCI banned the Lycra in downhill. I can tell you that.
It looks
but
silly.
not in cross country, especially as most races now are wearing kit which is pretty tight fitting anyway.
So tight.
I mean, it's true. I mean, it was kind of the riders brought this in really because riders didn't want to wear skin suits. I was one of them. But mainly the top riders decided they didn't want to because it was better for the image of the sport to wear proper kit. So the UCI actually kind of supported that eventually. And they banned it. I can't remember the rules, like how much you can pinch. But yeah, like I say, you look at those guys now and their trousers are so tight. It's not Lycra, which is kind of good because now they've got kit that actually, you know, if they fall off their bikes, it's all right.
Yeah.
So I think it's helped down, and it still looks good.
It is, but we found out that you don't actually have to wear gloves. Do you know that? Or knee pads?
In France, you do. I think it changes from place to place because everyone, in France.
So Nicholas Hughes says, I don't care. I think banning things in races takes nothing away from the fun of riding bikes for us normal mountain bikers. Rules are there for breaking.
Yeah, I get that. Karenius says, some of the rules seem absolutely ridiculous to me, and I'm from Germany, where we usually have a ton of weird rules or laws things. Really?
He's against it. Wow. Cuba said, UCI should make an unlimited or freak category to every cycling discipline where the gloves are off, no rule book. Let's see how weird this sport can get. Actually, what I didn't talk about with Hank, and he's really involved in, is the human-powered thing, which is literally gloves off for road cycling, but they're all on recumbents with long socks in it. All looks a bit weird.
That sounds weird to me.
Yeah, it is a bit weird.
People would just ride e-bikes. If there was no rules, people would just ride e-bikes everywhere.
That's it. Recumbent e-bike for the win. Okay, it's top mods this week. What you got for me now?
This is quite a good one. David has got a 2019 Cube 140 HPC that he's bought cheap because you see the damage on the top tube.
Oh, that's savage.
Kind of looks like sometimes you see them on cross-country bikes where the levers flip around, but I don't know what happened on this bike because they're too high. But he's got some experience with working with composites, so he knew it would be a difficult repair, so he's finished that off and then gone crazy with the airbrush.
Whoa.
Because he can do a bit of that as well. So check out the mountain scene. There's all sorts of there's magenta candy on one side and teal candy on the other. So
blimey.
Can't decide what colour. Go two colours, one on each side.
Or is it two-tone on two sides?
Yeah, well, I don't know. Because there's all sorts going on the back end, but fixed the carbon bike and got a cheap frame out of it, so nice.
It looks nice. I mean, that is possibly the nicest looking canyon I've ever seen.
Canyon is...
Cube, sorry.
Cube. Close enough, because we're moving on to a Canyon Strive.
We've got a Canyon Strive. Well, I've got a Canyon Strive here from Aaron from Portsmouth, who says that he's got limited bend in his knee after an issue of his left knee. So he had to go and get some custom-made cranks. 100mm this left crank arm is. Normal on the other side, and he's got Unite to custom make it for it. He says, what do you think? I think that's brilliant. If that means that you're still out riding your bike, fair play to you.
It's good to know that Unite helped him out as well. That's cool.
It's good to know they do custom, because I am struggling to get 165s, let alone anything smaller. So that is a good tip. Thanks for that. Well, do keep sending in your top mods or your bike caves or your rewinds. We haven't had many rewinds later. Use the upload link below.
So, quiz answers. What does KIS stand for? Keep it stable.
Keep it stable. I always think it says keep it straight because it's all about straightening your steering.
Yes.
And where does Stevie Smith get his nickname Chainsaw from? Rob Warner called him the Canadian Chainsaw Massacre because he murders the downhill descent. That sounds just like Rob Warner, doesn't it?
Doesn't it? New Proof Descent got its name, but previous bikes, I've got a Scalp in my garage and a Pulse. I think Pulse came after the Scalp.
You got a
my
Scalp?
Scalp's 26-inch wheel. It's good. That's
Showing
what
your
I built.
age now, Neil.
Well, I bought it recently, actually. Built it into that. I've built a bike park bike, single speed, 26 wheels for doing jumps on.
Ah, was that black one you built up? Ah, can people see this video somewhere? Where can they see it?
I can't remember if it's on GMBN Tech, to be honest.
Well, thanks for stopping by, and do comment down below whether you think steerer damping is any good or whether it should have stayed in the 90s. Thanks for watching. Bye.